Hey, what's up? It's me, Brianca Jay. I'm back with another video. Today I'm going to talk about romanticism because you guys are really interested in literary movements right now I'm looking at the analytics on my naturalism video, and I was like, okay, all you had to do is say that one time. Yeah, I could take you there. Yeah. I watch a lot of TikTok. But so the literary movements is going to be a series that I do. So if you guys want to see more of the series, drop like a comment, a like, a subscribe, or something like that to let me know I'm on the right track with you. If it's not what you want to see, drop what you want to see in the comments, because I'm all about serving you, pleasing you. Let me cater to you, because baby, this is your day. I'm gonna have to edit this video because this is so embarrassing. Without further ado, let's talk about the video. But before we do that, make sure you head over to my website, www.briancajay.com. Check out my merch. I have a clothing line. I also have a children's book called Fuzzy Socks. I would absolutely appreciate your support. I'm currently thinking about opening up like a way to share all my papers, all my literary papers and stuff with you guys. So if that's something you guys would be interested in seeing or having access to, let me know in the comments so I can know like which way to go with serving my audience. I happily greatly appreciate that. So let's talk about romanticism a bit. So the romantic movement in the arts developed in the latter half of the 18th century, and it was pretty much in response to the Industrial Revolution. It was like, I'm so sick of all these factories and the smoke, this pollution. I want to get closer to nature and closer to what it is to be myself and enjoy my self-expression. It was also a revolt against the neoclassical period, who was all about mimic the arts, mimic the greats. Romanticists came out and was like, you know what? I want to focus on my own imagination, my own creative abilities, and my own artistic inspirations. And so that's what the romantic movement was in short. So now it was really inspired by the American and French Revolution, and some of its major characteristics really focused on the individual, as I said. One thing they wanted us to know is that subjectivity determines our apprehension to the world. We also need to focus on individual sensibility and originality. These were major ideas and philosophical movements in that time period. There was also an unprecedented focus on poetry as the personal expression of the poet. It was to counter the decorum, traditionalism, and preoccupation with the genre that came with neoclassicalism. So as I said, they were like, let's break the rules, let's forget all that they say. And that's when we got like the epic lyric poem, Wordsworth, Rousseau, who was the guy that wrote, I can't think of his name, Walden, whoever wrote Walden, was that Waldo Emerson? He was a part of this thing too. And so what we had here, a couple others, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, William Wordsworth, Percy Shelley, and they were all saw their art and were intimately bound up with their personal impressions, moods, feelings, and sentiments when they wrote. We also had Samuel Taylor Coleridge at that time. He was the one who wrote The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, which was so good. Crazy good, crazy thoughtful. You had to think a lot for that one. But he was about diffusing the tone and spirit of unity that blends, as it were, fuses each into each other by that synthetic and magical power to which we have exclusively appropriated the name of imagination. So that was Coleridge's definition of the romantic movement and what poetry should be in his eyes. They were really focused on kind of going against the dictations of the neoclassical movement, as I continue to say. The artist must so the idea was most artists must intimate previous works of art and follow the rules of that genre. But they had a renewed appreciation for the unique creative genius of Shakespeare and because he was someone that was very criticized. So at this time, they started to love him, and they started to criticize neoclassical theorists for ignoring the unities of, for ignoring his greatness and focusing on the way he denies some of the classical visions of what a play should be. So Shakespeare himself, he didn't go by the unities of action, time, and place, as I think Poetics Aristotle's Poetics asked it to do. You can see a play from Shakespeare kind of break the mold and go its own way and have its own movement. And they wanted to show, like, they were created for, like, giving Shakespeare his flowers, right? Something else that happened during this time is the Romantics, they began to focus on the symbol and how they can express universal ideas through particular concrete images and metaphors. So think about Mrs. Dalloway's, the book Mrs. Dalloway, I think it's by Virginia Woolf. She continues to focus on little symbols, and these little bitty symbols kind of take her on to think about these greater moments in her life. And that's the symbol. You had Walden focusing on his house in the woods, you know, things like that really showed up during this time. So they say poetry through the symbol is humanized and increasingly dehumanized world. We also have a focus on long romantic poems, and they tend to be arranged as lyrics pieces, as in Wordsworth's Prelude. And it's a focus on the expression of the individual emotion. We really focus on expressing, like, what one person is and how one person feels as an individual. And yeah, so, which is contrary to something you would see in Dickens, who has, like, a big societal view, right? And he focuses on criticizing society as a whole. We have these people here focusing singularly and zooming in on the individual. Poetry was the major bread and butter here at this time. Other than the Gothic novel, everything else kind of struggled to maintain a status. So poetry was truly the focus, and where a lot of romanticists flourished. So another thing that happened was the changing social, political, and economic conditions around them prompted many thinkers to ponder literary and critical and cultural history. So again, and the Industrial Revolution kind of created this wave of people wanting to get back to nature, wanting to get back to self, wanted to be secluded, wanted to have this return to the countryside type of feel to it, and that's what you kind of see. Now, for Wordsworth, who was a prominent name in this time, you'll see that his ideas kind of also determined, I'm sorry, I'm all out the window in my neighbor's business, but you'll see that his ideas also kind of determined the Romantic period and what the true characteristics and beliefs were at that time. And so I have here that they dramatized the movements of the individual consciousness. We have Wordsworth made the poet's own subjectivity the prevalent subject of poetry. So how the poet sees the world is the subject of the poetry that he writes. They were told to find inspiration instead in the emotions, experiences, and speeches of ordinary persons. And so no more focusing on the kings and the queens and aristocracy. Yikes. But yeah, no more focus on them, and a big focus on the individual. So the peasant, the farmer, the merchant, all of these people will become major influences in this time period. The farmer, right? And so we even have them saying that poetry should begin with acts of self-expression and self-exploration. Romantic poets are visionary, evocative describers of nature, its scenes, settings, and landscapes. And so that's pretty much what you need to know about the Romantic period in itself. It was truly a revolt against what is neoclassicalism And what is the Industrial Revolution? It is a return to self, a return to self-expression, creativity, and nature. So I hope this helped, and I hope this helped you understand the literary movement that is Romanticism. And I'll be back soon to talk about other literary movements. And thank you so much for watching. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you didn't like. Let me know if you introduced it to your class. It's all good, man. See you next time.